I'll be analysing The Forsaken Wife by Elizabeth Thomas. So first a little bit about the poet. So she was born in 1675. Her father died when she was only a baby. So she and her mother faced financial hardship. Things got so bad that Elizabeth was imprisoned for some time for being unable to pay her debts. She was engaged to a man named Robert, but he died before they were wed. Richard's family suppressed his will, and Elizabeth never saw a penny that might have been given to her if they were married. So it can be clearly said that Elizabeth knew what it was to be a woman living in a man's world. Given that Elizabeth was not married, we can assume that the cheating incident in the poem is a fictional creation for the purpose of exposing the hardships faced by women as a result of a man's actions. The deep meaning. The speaker expresses the bitterness that a wife feels after finding out that her husband has committed adultery. She is ruined economically and socially as a consequence of a man's actions, and we see the injustice of this through her anger at him. She is forced to suffer the shame alone and in silence, and this is a reflection of women's rights at the time. The poem reflects upon the accepted logic of the time that presented men as superior in every way, by showing the strength of one woman in contrast with the spineless and heartless actions of her husband. So, in the entire poem, the poet intends to emasculate the husband, the adulterous husband of the speaker. Methinks 'tis strange you can't afford one pitying look, one parting word. Humanity claims this as its due, but what's humanity to you? Well, before I start analysing this stanza, I think it's important to know, to think of the title. So, The Forsaken Wife. Forsaken connotes abandonment and the feeling of being completely forgotten and tossed aside like a piece of garbage. The use of the word wife rather than woman or lady reminds us that at the time, being a wife was all that a woman was known for. Her identity was completely bound up in who she was married to. Okay, so the first word of the stanza, methinks, differentiates the speaker from her husband. As opposed to him, she is capable of thought. Irony is used in the speaker's tone of voice, as when she says, "'Tis strange you can't afford." So it's as if knowing him for so long, it is not in fact strange at all, but exactly the kind of behavior that she would expect of him. He cannot even grant her the dignity of an apology, which is why she accuses him of lacking humanity. The speaker believes that having the ability to empathize with people and recognize emotion is what elevates people from the level of beasts. She asks a rhetorical question in the last line, but what's humanity to you? Knowing that she is not going to get an answer from her adulterous husband as he flees off into the distance, unable to deal with the consequences of his actions. The indifference with which he callously tosses her aside seems to hurt more than the act of infidelity itself. Although the husband in the poem is fictional, as I said before, the poet is making a point here about the historical ways in which arrogant men have treated women. The speaker in the poem displays all the characteristics of a smart person constrained by a hypocritical society that allowed men to behave in certain ways, but instinctively censored and controlled women. Rhyming couplets are used which suggest not only the binary opposition of man and woman, but also harkens back to the idealized pairing of a man and woman in marriage, a situation that here has been destroyed. Also, the technical mastery conveys the control of the speaker. Despite such poor treatment and emotional wounds, she is more than capable of holding it together. We also have the plosive alliteration, pitying parting, which mirrors a release of the speaker's pent-up negative emotions. This sharpens her tone and makes her words cut like a knife. Cruel man, I am not blind, your infidelity I find. Your want of love my ruin shows, my broken heart your broken vows. Yet maugre all your rigid hate, I will be true in spite of fate, and one preeminence I'll claim, to be forever still the same. So we have the use of spondy in cruel man, which means when both words carry equal weight, and this makes it sound as though she's almost spitting out her words at him so vehemently, something which is emphasized by the use of the exclamation mark. We also have parallelism, my broken heart, your broken vows, which exemplifies the opposition between husband and wife. The caesura in the middle of this line functions as a visual separator. Husband and wife stand on either side of the divide. We also have a shift in tone marked by yet, which shows the speaker is taking control of herself in this moment. She is determined to rise above the cruel and petty behavior of the man, and she makes her own vow to claim the moral high ground, to claim that preeminence. He sets an example of infidelity and inconstancy, which contrasts to her as she swears to be forever still the same. The modal verb will emphasizes her determination, as well as the imperative to be. Sibilance is used which shows the speaker's balanced composition and suggests that she has managed to rein in her anger. Unlike him, she is capable of restraint and self-control. And then we have the use of half rhyme, which compares to the rhyming couplets as mentioned before. So we see this in shows and vows. This shows the disruption of the union between husband and wife, and it creates discomfort which mirrors the pain caused by this disruption in the speaker. Show me a man that dare be true, that dares to suffer what I do, that can forever sigh unheard, and ever love without regard. I will then own your prior claim to love, to honour, and to fame. But till that time, my dear, adieu, I yet superior am to you. So we have the use of the verb dares, which describes the speaker. She uses it to describe herself as having the quality of courage, which would be conventionally associated with a man. She applies this quality to women who are able to bear suffering stoically and without complaint instead. This switching of gender roles is something that is seen throughout this stanza. Forever sigh unheard shows that no matter how much pain the speaker feels or how deep the cut, she refuses to flinch in front of others. And this shows a level of emotional control beyond anything that her cheating husband displays. The speaker takes the supposed responsibility of men by assuming the language of their broken marriage vows for herself, as seen in the 6th line, to love, to honour. Because her cheating husband has abrogated these responsibilities, the speaker emasculates him by co-opting this language for herself. The verb choice of own and claim reinforces the idea of emasculation. We are reminded that marriage was like a transfer of property from father to husband, as though a woman were a piece of baggage to be owned. In this poem, we see the robbing of a man's traditional power and status by a woman. Okay, so now for the topic areas, if this poem were to come up. The first topic area, I'd focus on the speaker's anger towards her adulterous husband for his affair and his lack of compassion towards her. He does not even give her a pitying look, which is why she accuses him of lacking humanity. For the second topic area, I'd focus on her superiority and determination to not let her husband's actions bring her down. And for the final topic area, I'd focus on the switching of gender roles. And that is it. Thank you very much for watching.